Okay, so the next thing we want to do is you should have downloaded on your Android phone if you have one, this program called Sensor Kinetics. So we can open up Sensor Kinetics and actually look at the reading from the magnetometer. So
This needs to be on camera.
just go to Sensor Kinetics and then scroll down until you see magnetic field. Click on the little graph icon, just say OK, and then start. And this will start plotting the sensor readings from the magnetometer, measures magnetic field, so it's basically magnetic field strength. And this is in the unit of microteslas. And it'll just plot it on the graph. There's 3 different colors, one for each axis, X, Y, or Z, because this is a 3-axis magnetometer. Don't even worry about what that means. So the first thing we want to do is basically move your cell phone around, because each cell phone has a different location where the magnetometer has been built. So we just want to see where we can get this like up and down, because right now what we're doing is we're pulsing this coil, turning it on and off, just like we used to turn the LED on and off. And what that'll do is turn the magnetic field on and off. It'll be there 1 second and it won't be there the next second, and this will repeat. So if we see on our graph something that just seems really periodic, it's just going up and down about every second, then we know that's exactly where the magnetometer is. So we should just move this around and see. So right now we don't really see much. It's like a little bit of noise. It seems a bit regular, but it doesn't seem to be very strong. But if I move it close to the left, you see this is very strong. This is like basically the sine wave, or the square wave that I drew earlier on the board, right? It's going up and down, really strong.
Do a good shot on this.
Yeah. So it seems that my magnetometer on my phone is located around right. Oh, this got loose.
I'm sure it's plugged into this side as well.
Okay. It seems that the magnetometer on my phone is just about here. So about here on my phone. So for every phone, it's going to be different. So if you have an Android phone, test this out. If you don't have an Android phone, sorry, you should find a friend who has one, steal their phone, and then try this out. But it's actually really cool. So yeah, we have this here. So now that you know where your magnetometer is, you should be able to read any signal that comes out of here. So let's try something different. Let's try changing the period of this signal that we're sending through, right? So we can space out this square wave even more. So instead of just doing a delay of like 1,000 or whatever on our Blink program, let's do a delay of, let's say, 2,000. So every 2 seconds it'll turn on or off. We'll upload this. Hold on. Oh, this is taking forever. What's going on? Okay, so now we're uploading the program. So now Blink is basically blinking every 2 seconds instead of every 1 second. We changed it to 2,000 milliseconds instead of 1,000 milliseconds. So let's put this back over. Start the graph again. Press start. Okay. So now you can see this wave that we get is much more spaced out. Instead of going up or down every 1 second, it changes from like a high to a low every 2 seconds, right? So here's the cool thing about this. We know that we're using digital write, and we're writing high or low, 5 volts or 0 volts, and that corresponds to like a 1 or a 0. So you should probably know that in basically computer programming, in digital electronics, messages can be encoded as 1s or 0s. This is binary, so you can write instructions or data or characters in a string, in a text. These can all be represented by binary data, 1s or 0s, just a string of those. So now that we can actually detect 1s or 0s being sent from the Arduino over this magnetic field, why don't we try actually sending text, because we can represent that as 1 or 0s. So this is a really exciting part. This is basically the same kind of technology that powers your Cal ID cards. Inside this is actually an antenna, so it has a coil just like this, and it operates at a much higher frequency. So it's turning on and off at a much higher frequency. Usually it's about like in the megahertz range, right? So millions of ups or downs every second. But this is slightly different because we're just using like a very low frequency and it's using a magnetic field. But basically how your card works, it's called RFID, so it stands for radio frequency identification. basically just means when you tap it against the reader, that'll power the coil in here for just a long enough time to send its message, your ID string, and have the reader decode it. This is much simpler than what actually happens, but this is the basic concept behind it. And we're doing exactly the same thing here. So now that we are able to send basically a square wave over, we want to be able to send binary data over. Basically have a string that we have on the in the Arduino code and send that over bit by bit for each character and have it decode on the phone. So this code will be a little bit more complicated, and in the text below we're going to show you exactly how to do that in the Arduino code. Yeah. So